I'm 23, still living with my parents, but paying rent, $600 per month, grocery money to my parents, $150, and all my own bills. I graduated uni last year and started my first grown-up job in January. Despite wanting to move out when I started working, my parents convinced me to stay living at home in order to save money because we live in a very high cost of living city. They told me a few weeks ago that in October, my nephew, 17, would be moving in with us indefinitely. My nephew's mom is my half-sister, and I've only met him once in my life as he lived across the country. I have no problem with him at all, and I know family is family, but I really don't want to live with a teenage boy again. I also have two brothers, one still lives at home. Our house is too small for this many people, and I really want my own space for friends and dating, etc. So I found a decent studio for $1,500 and told my parents I'm moving out. They were pissed because they said they need my rent money for their mortgage, and especially with my nephew now living with them, groceries plus living expenses will be more expensive. I told them it's not my problem because they invited an additional person to live with us without asking me, so I can make my own decision without asking them. My nephew can get a job when he comes, or they can ask my sister for rent money, but it's not my responsibility. They said I'm an idiot because family always helps family. Not the idiot. If they knew it would be expensive for him to live there, they should have considered that beforehand. How long did they think you'd stay there before moving out? Especially since you brought up the topic before. You have a right to want and establish your own space. Like you said, your nephew can get job or his mother can help your parents with rent and stuff. You aren't a source of money for them, you are your own person. Their inability to pay their mortgage is not your problem. Did they really think that you would live with them forever? Were you never supposed to start your own life? If they cannot pay for their home without your help, then they need to make changes, starting with not inviting another person into their home that they can't afford to have there without depending on you. They didn't get your consent to move nephew in, so they don't get to ask you to pay for him to live there. If family helps family, then how are they helping you? What are you getting out of paying $750 plus a month for the supposed privilege of living in a too small, overly crowded home with no privacy? Not the idiot, you're an adult, you want to be independent, you live in a small house and want your own space. Your parents' finances are not your problem, they are adults, they make their own choices. If they need rent money, they can rent your room to anyone else for $600 per month. Family is family, and it's great they offered to host their grandson, but that was their adult decision and their responsibility to cover the cost. I'm 25. I just got my first full-time teaching job, and yesterday one of the other teachers invited us all over her house for a small get-together. I live in an apartment building and was pretty shocked when she introduced me to her husband, and I realized that he was my next-door neighbor at my apartment building. We've never spoken before, we've only seen each other in passing, waved at each other, etc. When my coworker introduced us, it was really awkward. He's not at his apartment every day, he comes every few days, never with his wife or kids, that I'm aware of. He has two toddlers and an elementary age kid, and I've never heard them. I've definitely seen him go in with a young woman. I'm not sure if his wife knows about the apartment or not. Rent is $2,000 a month plus utilities, but for all I know he could pay it all through a business account, or she could know all about it. Would I be the idiot if I mention something to the wife? It seems so weird if I don't say something. I'm not going to make assumptions as to what's going on. If I do say something, it would just be along the lines of, I've ran into your husband quite a few times in my apartment building. Does he have a separate home office? Which I don't think is the case because their house giant and he clearly has an office in it. I know the apartment is his as the mailbox has his last name on it. I've never seen anyone else going in or out of it other than him and the guests he's with. I'm extremely socially awkward. I have no idea what to do here. If I was in her shoes, I'd definitely want someone to tell me if I didn't know, but I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do or not. Thanks everyone. Edit, I have a piece of his mail, junk mail, that was accidentally delivered to my mailbox a few weeks ago. Should I give it to her? Would that make me the idiot? Not the idiot. It's automatically suspicious he didn't immediately say, oh yeah, we are neighbors at the apartment I go work in. Or whatever. He has made you complicit in a situation you didn't ask to be in. I would definitely want to know if I was his wife, or at least have someone bring it to my attention and me reassure them there isn't anything untoward if that's the case. You have no loyalty to him. You are fellow co-workers with his wife and are building a rapport that seems important to you. Worst case, she tells you to mind your business and it's awkward for a bit. Best case, you save her. Not the idiot. I feel like if you work with her and see her often it would be awkward to not mention the apartment. I would play it off like you assumed she knew about it though. Just be like, hey, your husband's mail got delivered to my apartment by accident. Here you go, and let her take it from there. You can't assume anything about a mistress since you don't know these people, but it would be weird to say nothing, I think. You don't need to know all the details of their marriage. All you have to do is give her the mail you accidentally received and say this got delivered to my mailbox by mistake. Her reaction is going to tell you everything you need to know. If she accepts it unsurprised, then they more than likely have an unconventional marriage and nothing will come of it. If she is surprised and asks what you are talking about, you just tell her the truth. You live in an apartment next to her husband. The end. If she didn't know, she deserves to. No one deserves to be in a relationship with someone living a double life and lies. Me, 28, sister, Lexi, 25. I've always known Lexi was a lesbian. I've accidentally caught her making out with girls, and I'm completely fine with it. Our parents are fine with it too, so we're pretty rich. Not us, but our grandfather. Very wealthy. He does not have a lot of time left to live, 2 months is what the doctors said. Only me and my parents know. We've not told Lexi as per his wishes. The thing is, he and Lexi do not have a good relationship anymore. He's always been homophobic, just the way he was raised, keeps saying homophobic crap whenever he gets a chance, and at about 16 when Lexi realized she was gay, she's been pretty cold to him. He does not know she's gay. She does not know he's about to die. He still loves her and has left her about $2.1 million to her and $2.1 to me when he dies and some other stuff to her parents. He likes hosting formal parties and stuff often, and Lexi decided that she was going to come out yesterday to the whole family at the party, including the families of my granddad siblings. Now I told her she couldn't do it, she was against it, we fought a bit yesterday morning, she wouldn't budge, I wouldn't either. I finally caved and told her that he was gonna die and I just didn't want her to lose the money. She was a bit sad, but said that she didn't care much about him anymore. We fought and well, I just didn't let her talk a lot that evening. I always kept changing topics when she started to talk and wouldn't let her talk much. She's really mad at me. My parents said I did the right thing. I know it's really hard for people to come out and it takes courage, but it's $2 million. All we wanted was 2 months of silence. We just don't want her to miss out on the money. I know what I did might be terrible, but she's my sister and I don't want her to miss out on such a huge thing, and now I've even broken my grandfather's promise. I feel like such an idiot and all I've been doing is spend time thinking if I should post it here or not. Not the idiot, you tried to look after her and help her, but she refuses to acknowledge it and blames you instead. Apparently, a matter of principle is more significant to her than getting the money for the long term. I don't know what she tries to prove, but she doesn't think it through. If she really wants to get back at him for his archaic stances, she should silently accept the money. Otherwise, he'll disown her. There is a possibility that she'll do it either way because she seems stubborn and adamant, but you can be peaceful that you've done your best. No idiots here. Once she had all the information, it was no longer your problem. She knew he was dying and leaving her tons of money. If her integrity means more to her than that money, so be it. You were trying to help, but it's not your battle. As a person with a bad relationship with my father, I don't even want his money when he dies, which he legally owes me. It feels wrong. I bet your sister feels the same. You're the idiot. Coming out is a hard thing to do, and it should always be up to the person coming out to decide how and when that should happen. And if Lexi doesn't care about losing out on grandfather's money, then that's fine. It doesn't hurt you at all. You do not get to dictate when your sister comes out. If your concern is her losing her inheritance, then it's a simple conversation with her. You let her know that coming out could risk losing her inheritance, and then you let her make the decision after that. If you're the loving, supporting brother that you claim to be, then you should be able to respect her decision. My brother-in-law, 28, got married to his longtime GF who we met once briefly before the wedding. They had a traditional white wedding. My in-laws and I have a complicated relationship. I generally get on with mother-in-law, but father-in-law over the years made wildly inappropriate comments about my appearance, my relationship with my husband, making advances towards me, behaving inappropriately, etc. It took a while for husband to stand up to it because his father was always abusive at home and eventually he did. Now we have low contact to no contact with him. My husband's paternal grandparents adore our family and often comment to others about how perfect our family is. Naturally, this breeds resentment with some, though I try to be friendly and close with everyone. Now to the wedding. It's during the day and I picked 2 dresses and texted the bride to ask if she had a preference. I'm not in the wedding party but would be in family pictures. She said she didn't really care and to wear whatever I felt comfortable with. I picked a midi-length mauve dress with a high neck, conservative, and nude heels. I had a matching dress for my daughter and the boys and husband wore blazers with matching ties. When we arrived all eyes were on us and the bride looked a little upset. Bride's family was chatting about us and father-in-law had some choice words for me and said I had to make everything about me. Apparently we upstaged the wedding party. I'm at a complete loss. We came in what I would describe as our Sunday best. Mother-in-law said the others thought I looked like the bride and maybe I shouldn't have worn heels or earrings. The bride was wearing a long white gown but is petite and I am tall. Am I the idiot? I will apologize to sister-in-law if I did something wrong, but I have no idea what I did. Not the idiot. Sounds like a bunch of jealousy at play here. You went above and beyond checking with the bride what you should wear. If she had an issue with it she should have said so when you text her. You shouldn't need to apologize for being what I assume you are, conventionally attractive with a good sense of style. Being tall always comes with a certain presence when you walk in a room, especially if you're also conventionally attractive, etc. Don't apologize for who you are. Not the idiot, your in-laws dislike you and have put poison in the bride's ears. How dare you be tall, attractive, and wear expensive jewelry. If you dress down, they'd be coaxing her into complaining that you didn't make an effort. Unless she has a legitimate complaint that she brings to your face. Ignore them and their petty selves. Even if she does have the cheek to complain to you directly, remember that she's their puppet and she will learn their true selves when she crosses them. Not the idiot in any way. Guests at a wedding typically want to look nice for the occasion and up their clothing game. You were respectful of the bride's wishes and your family members were all dressed appropriately. The mauve dress is pretty and seems a lot less formal than most wedding dresses. I'm sure people noticed the kids' adorable outfits, but so what? They would also notice a woman in a beautiful red dress, or a man with a uniquely patterned tie, or someone with a beautiful scarf. The bride would still stand out. My husband, 35, is a bank clerk and I, 29, have a work-from-home job which I barely bear since I'm an active outdoor person and like doing gardening stuff in particular. I figured since I have a background in gardening, I decided to use our spacious backyard to grow flowers and sell them online after arranging and organizing them into bouquets. When I brought this up with my husband he said this was the worst idea ever, adding this would be a major waste of time and money and suggested I look for a second job. I didn't listen and started my business little by little. In a matter of 18 months, it started bringing decent money and I gained customers. My husband offered to look at how much I was able to make in the past months and was impressed. The other day he was standing with his drink while I was checking my flowers. He talked about what a good job I was doing keeping our business flowing. I corrected him about it being our business and reminded him about how little faith he had in my potential to make decent money out of selling cut flowers. He was like, well, I didn't honestly think your little gardening hobby was going to get anywhere, but now that business is flourishing, I want my fair share of profit and won't settle for less than 50%. I was puzzled. I asked why he thought he should get any share of profit, let alone 50%. His answer was that I was using his soil to grow my flowers on. I said this is our house and our soil, not just his, since we're married and both our names are on the title. He was like, actually I owned this house long before you came along, so it's technically mine. I replied that he must be aware it'll be split in half in case of separation. He laughed and joked about how silly I was for hinting separation just because he was asking for something that he so richly deserves, which is 50% of the profit. I said no, and that he was delusional to ask cause even his soil alone doesn't magically grow my flowers. There's a lot of work to it, from picking, buying seeds, taking time, effort to care for them, collecting, trimming, and selling them while all he does is sit back. I said it didn't matter to him when I started using his soil. Why now? He said it always matters when money is involved. We had an argument about it and he apologized, but only for approaching the subject rudely, but still wants 50%. He's been silent about it since, after stating that he already said what he needed to say and I needed to make the right decision. Am I the idiot? To clarify, my husband and I both have our own salaries. We contribute equally towards expenses. It's his idea since he had a divorce before. He still has things that he owns alone, which isn't bad since money has never been an issue. It's not like he needs money for an emergency or something, he just wants 50% of profit going forward. Not the idiot, but wow, is your husband possessive? This I owned it long before you. Nonsense is horrible, and it is not conducive to a healthy relationship. He also talks down to you quite a bit in your post. Has any of this happened before? It doesn't sound like you have shared finances in the first place. Please correct if I'm wrong, but how did bills and other expenses work? Is it 50-50? That might be where his 50-50 claim is coming from, but that seems unlikely to me. Either way, protect your business in every way you can. I will not claim to know what you need to do to protect it, maybe getting an LLC or something like that, but please consult a professional lawyer and do what they tell you to. I'm almost sure that's a way of abuse. It's your money and your business. As long as you two have a compromise on shared expenses and support each other, he shouldn't be asking for money. What he's asking is extremely selfish and business-wise, a completely dumb move. Ask him if he's going to give you 50% of his income too, or if that rule only applies to you. Stand your ground and try to have a decent convo later. Counseling should be considered too. He won't settle for less, which means he honestly believes he's entitled to more. I would start, if you haven't, extremely detailed records of expenses to include your time. Make sure you are paid for all the hats you wear. Clock time even if it's in bed. Look at seed prices and a new variety of flowers to buy. Clock it all. Make sure you compensate yourself for all time spent on the business. Make that profit as low as possible. Depending on the state and how bills are set up, he might be right about the house. In my state, a house bought before a marriage that doesn't use marital income to pay the mortgage, it's not considered marital property. Honestly, I would talk to a good divorce attorney.